Hi, I'm Gerry Haughian from caterer.com. I'm based in our Glasgow office, and today delighted to be catching up with Simon Boyle, founder of Beyond Food. Hi, Simon. Um,
Hey, Gerry.
we're going to be talking about how they responded to the lockdown and the support that they're offering those in the sector. So, welcome, Simon. Great to see you this morning.
Nice to see you, Gerry. Thanks for having us.
No worries. Thanks for coming on. So, Simon, tell us a little about Beyond Food, who you are, and what you stand for.
So, Beyond Food is a charity, the Beyond Food Foundation. Primarily, we are there to try and help people who've either been homeless or that people may have experienced homelessness, and try and get them back on their own 2 feet and into a meaningful job into the hospitality industry. So, we're primarily a hospitality charity. We also have our own restaurant. It's called the Brigade Bar and Kitchen, which is based on Tooley Street, London Bridge, and we use that as a way of interacting, engaging people into hospitality. It's a business in its own right. It's a social enterprise. It has the same profit and loss as any other business, but obviously we employ a lot of apprentices through the brigade, and they're fully supported by the charity.
And do those apprentices stay with yourselves, or do you look to then move them on to other opportunities within the sector?
Yeah. Our system is very well thought through, very structured. As you can imagine, when people have been homeless or potentially at that point of homelessness, they've got quite a lot of complex issues, and so we keep them at Brigade for one whole year, and then after a year, we then put them into a partner organisation, and we continue to support them. The first year they will do their first year of qualifications, a lot of online training, a lot of training at Brigade in its own cook school, and then obviously their work experience. They do 40 hours a week, and as any other member of the staff. We also work in partnership with PricewaterhouseCoopers, which are an accountancy firm. They're in effect like a business partner, and also Baxter Story, the hospitality company.
Yeah.
And we've got great partnerships with all of their brands, so CSEs, Benugos, to name a couple, and obviously Baxter Story, to get those second year placements. Really important that we keep them within our family, and that's really helped us, particularly during COVID-19.
Good. It certainly sounds like there's a lot of structure there for the apprentices as they come through.
Yeah, let me have a think now. We started in 2005, the work, and we started to kind of, if you like, get our understanding of how to work with people from vulnerable backgrounds. And I'd say in the last 9 years is when we opened Brigade, and we've really structured it well, and we understand not just how to get somebody into an employment opportunity, but how to really get them to the right position, the right point in their lives where they can accept employment. We're not in this to give somebody a foolhardy approach, saying a bit of training and expect them to just run on their own. That's not what we do with Beyond Food. We really structure all the way through, really support, and our retention rate is incredible because of it.
Right. So COVID-19 and the lockdown has led to great adversity for so many of us in the sector. How are your apprentices impacted?
Well, we have, to give you an idea of the scale of our work, so we've now trained 3,500 homeless people. We've given 1,200 full employment training, and all of the support systems go around it, and we have 133 apprentices in total. That spans over 15 cohorts. So up to cohort 13, they're all in the workplace. They're all doing very well. They have pretty much all but been furloughed. So we're offering them support. Cohort 14 was the difficult one because they had literally left us 2 weeks before and had found employment on the 2nd of March. Now, luckily, all of them were employed within the Baxter Story family. And I have to say, between Baxter Story, CSEs, and their clients, they're all being completely supported financially. So they were furloughed, but the majority of them have been topped up. which is fantastic, obviously.
Yeah. Excellent.
We had worried because we weren't sure about the furlough laws, rules rather, in terms of because they'd been apprentices for 12 months prior to that on an apprentice salary, that could have really adversely affected them. And it has in some cases, but the charity is helping them financially as well as all the other support that we offer. Cohort 15, which is our brand new cohort, and they started on the 2nd of March. We've been working with them as kind of trainees since the start of the new year. You can imagine from their point of view, they've been homeless, they've found themselves, they've on their own 2 feet using the foundation support, suddenly got that first job, and the world just disappears from underneath them. We have retained their employment exactly as it was. They're still in this, getting paid the same amount of money, still getting the same support from the government. So really, effectively, what we're doing with them is just we're training them online. We're keeping them. They've got lots to do, lots to learn. They've also got Baxter Story's whole chef academy and front of house service academy. There's lots on their what they call their Vine, which is training opportunities online. So we're expecting them to still do a day's work every day, and that's working well. So it's I would say on the whole they are all doing well. You obviously have the mental health strains, the financial issues, the anxiety, stressfulness of being on your own in an isolated environment, and our apprentices have, they've seen such challenge and adversity throughout their lives. In some ways, it doesn't surprise me that they're doing better than you might well think, but that I also know that they understand they've got a great support system around. So they're doing okay at the moment.
So there's been a lot of adaptation within your own business to support everyone right through this,
yeah. We went through some extraordinary fluid kind of experiences over the last sort of 6 to 7 weeks. We chose to close brigade a couple of days prior to lockdown. We could see it was going to happen. We didn't want to waste our food, so we very quickly, because we're in touch with so many homeless organisations, we knew that food was going to be an issue. So we immediately turned our kitchen into a production site. So we cooked 3,500 meals and got them out to the hostels that we work with. After lockdown, we continued a little while, but then we started to work with other restaurants and particularly Baxter Story organisations that would send us their food, so they didn't waste their food, and we again carried on. And then after a little while, we realised that we, for our own purposes, had to socially distance, and so we started to work with more manufacturers and trying to help them distribute their food. In particular, I've got a good relationship with all of our suppliers, but also people like Unilever. I used to be Unilever's ambassador, so we helped them distribute some food. At that point, we then decided probably time that we vacate the restaurant, and so the team went their separate ways. And then we built a support line, a COVID-19 support line, to specifically look at 4 key areas. The first one being mental health. Mental health, probably, I know it's the buzzword at the moment and people are taking it very seriously, but Beyond Food Foundation really understands the effect that it has on people, and we have the systems in place to be able to help them. But what we needed to do is increase our numbers. So we searched out for qualified mental health counsellors that were being furloughed. So we now have a team of over 30. Financial hardship was the next category. Well, people, even though they'd been furloughed, they didn't quite know how it was going to work out. The whole tipping fiasco was also, an enigma to people. They didn't know they're going to get the complete 80% or not. Again, when people start getting into financial difficulties, the stress that causes is huge. So just having a sound ear to be able to help them think with things like, if they had to apply for a universal credit, just having somebody there with experience to help them do that. Third area was about feeding yourselves. Well, Beyond Food is a food organisation. It's always used food as a catalyst. And so that didn't stop. And so trying to make sure people were eating nutritious, healthy food whilst they were sort of going through this experience is something very close to our hearts. So we've continued to do that. We do it virtually now. So we now are sending out food boxes, which are very much training slash looking after yourself related, so that we can continue. They can still make a risotto at home and learn how to do that whilst feeding themselves, obviously, and that's in line with their training. And then the last one, in some ways, is the most important one. It's about loneliness, companionship. So many of our apprentices, they live in a room on their own with very little. Yes, they've started to move their lives on, but it takes time. So actually, lots of them have lost their friends, family, their relationships have broken down for whatever reason. And so we wanted to maintain a level of communication that was, daily. And again, we've got about 30 people that volunteer to keep in touch with people on a, day by day basis, just to check in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just to, and not necessarily offering anything more than a bit of friendship.
Yeah, I think that's important in the hospitality sector, perhaps more than any other, where people live off the buzz of their workmates, where they're used to working perhaps hours that most folk are alien to. So having someone they can talk to, particularly if they're feeling lonely or vulnerable, is a massive help. So since the launch of the 24-hour crisis line, is it being used much by your apprentices, more or less than you perhaps thought?
Yeah, well, we've launched. There's two ways to access it. So there's online. So you can click on there. There's I think a little box called Local Helpers. You can click on where you live. It's UK wide, and then you can then work through the system to kind of see what help you need, and that's just there for anyone. And we are specifically wanting people in hospitality to look at it, but also and take advantage of it, but also other people. The crisis line, we've launched that, and that's a text service, and it's manned 24/7. And I would say on average, it's getting 2 calls an hour on average. We also have people in New Zealand that are manning it during the night.
Okay. Right.
Because it's at night where you can't sleep. You've maybe not slept for a few days. Payday has been and gone. There's people there that have lost their jobs. There's no two ways about it in the hospitality industry. And it'll be now these weeks where it starts to ramp up, but we've got the thing in place now. We've got the right people there. We have partnered up with Shout, and they have 3,000 trained volunteers on the line. So if people text the number text Beyond Food to the number, then they will get the right help that they need. And sometimes that is merely just sharing the anxiety can do an awful lot. But if it's more serious than that, then Shout and the text line is linked to the emergency services, so they can send someone around, very quickly.
It's again making sure that anyone who is vulnerable is being looked after quickly. Yeah,
mental health and poor mental health in particular is something that we all need to be very aware of, and it's not just an industry thing. But when you can imagine you're sat there and the industry, no one really knows what's happening right now. So your mind plays games on you a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes companies are not feeding the information that, probably because they don't know that much themselves. But your mind starts to play on you, particularly during the evenings and at night time. And if you're on your own, it's quite a lonely place to be.
Yeah. And in regards to where we're at right now, is there any positive learnings that can be taken from the situation, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I run a charity, and I what I like to think is a really interesting hospitality business. I wear rose tinted glasses quite a lot of the time. But for me, I think there's lots, from just humanity has changed. I think, people have kind of we've kind of almost pressed the reset button a little bit.
Yeah.
obviously we look out the window, nature is there, we're together with our families, or we're at least reaching out to our families. I think one of the ones is that we're all equal. The
Yeah.
foundation works with people being very excluded from society, and actually now everybody is feeling that isolation. And so I think it's a great leveler. We've all equalised ourselves a little bit, and I hope we don't forget that. Definitely, we're depending on each other a lot more, and certainly that is nationwide, worldwide. But I would say, as an industry, the hospitality industry, you can see it all the times. Lots of forums, lots of podcasts. People are coming together to help each other.
Yeah.
And for me, it's given me lots of time to think and be creative about, start to think about, okay, well, how are we going to approach this? But also, what's the business doing? What's the charity doing? How can we change? And, we live in a very busy industry, don't we, where we get very little time to think.
Yeah.
I mean, it was only 5 minutes ago we were going through the Christmas period, and, suddenly we're in May. It's crazy. So I think having that time, and I just don't think our world was sustainable in the way that it was. So I guess, in some ways, we've got to use this time to kind of press pause for a minute and think about how do we work more, differently. And I think the last thing for me is about the industry as a whole. We work people so hard, and people work so hard. And I know that we love it. I love the hospitality industry. It's so amazing. But it is hard work, and we were struggling to find good people to come into the industry. So I think we've got to use this time to kind of say, okay, well, let's look at how we bring people in, how we train them, what we're offering them, and make sure it's really fair. So I would say that was a positive learning, and I think we can't ignore it. If we just go back to the way it was, we've learned nothing.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that we maybe forget that we punctuate our daily lives with the hospitality industry. Whether that be grabbing a coffee in the morning before you go into the office, meeting friends for a bit of shopping, grabbing some lunch, a glass of wine after work with a friend or a colleague. Hospitality is part and parcel of what we do every single day, and we've forgotten that as consumers. Hopefully that'll help myself and some of my friends realise what we're missing now, more than anything.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think the other thing is such an amazing opportunity for people, because you can start at the bottom with very little and you can reach the top, and with a good attitude, hard work, a lot of fun, because it is a fun industry, and we can't forget that it is, and our society can't forget that if it enables the hospitality industry to thrive again, when we can eventually open our doors, they can play a part in that and really help people. And in particular, I'm thinking of young people, young disadvantaged people that maybe get lost in the system, through the education system in particular, and come out with very little, pretty uninspired sometimes. The industry can play a huge part. And as we go through and we see unemployment rise, and it will, with unemployment rising comes homelessness. And we've got to be really careful of that.
Yeah. So I suppose looking ahead, what are the next best steps for the sector, or perhaps for yourself, whilst we're in this period?
Well, I mean, I think first and foremost, everyone's got to be safe. I really believe that. So I'm not a believer of opening the doors too quickly. I think we've got to be safe, and everyone's got to be safe, not just our customers, but our staff. And we have to be careful. We've got a responsibility for people. So that's the first thing I would say. And I think just to have a really good, sensible look at how we open up, how we restrict access, how we make sure we're looking after people. I know in Scandinavia they hadn't really closed their doors, and they had really looked at how they brought people in and how they looked after them, and spaced them out, and used screens and whatever to protect people in kind of almost like flexiglass kind of booths, and potentially that might be something we need to look at. What I don't want to see is people can't afford training and therefore don't try to inspire and train their staff. That would be the last thing. And if we have to ease in slowly, that should give us the time to really think about our businesses and think about, well, what can we change for the better? Because these times don't happen very often that we can take that time.
Yeah.
As an example, the furlough system and the tips situation, ideally that would not be the situation, and we would be paying people in full the same as everyone else has been paid in the same way. We've got an opportunity now to change that, and if we do it as an industry wide, that would be amazing. So, some practical things, some organisational things. And in particular, for us as a foundation, we didn't stop our work. We continued supporting people. And the reason why we did that, and we could have furloughed the charity team, but that wouldn't have been the right thing, because we would have stopped that support and we would have to have picked it up later. And that would have been very dangerous. And now, because we continued it, we can now offer that to other people in the hospitality industry and support them. And so I'm optimistic that we've got the right setup, the right structure to help people, and if with the likes of this interview we can reach more people, that would be awesome.
Okay. And is there anything else that you're doing currently in addition to Beyond Food, or is it focusing on the day-to-day?
Yeah, I mean, we're a charity. We're quite small. We industry-led. We rely on funding as well as the restaurant. Obviously, the restaurant's closed, so bringing money in and making sure we can exist every day is really, really important. So we are fundraising all the time. We reach out to grant and fund makers all the time. We have a crowdfunder as well, which is donate via our website or at beyondfood.org.uk. And I'm currently reaching out to all my chef mates and various people around the food industry, because our next crowdfunder, we would like to reach out to the hospitality more than just our beneficiaries. And so I'm looking for inspired recipes, stories about the industry to put into an online book at the moment. So we'll release this book in June. So if anyone's watching this and would like to contribute, they can email me at Simon at beyondfood.org.uk. That would be awesome. And if we can help anyone, and I sincerely mean this, if anybody needs some help and they're just a bit on their own and they're not quite sure how to kind of navigate the system, then if they come to Beyond Food, the Beyond Food will definitely reach out and support them. So, and that is not a light-hearted offer. It's made with full impact. We've helped a lot of people in the past, and we'd like to do that again.
Now, let's hope we can continue to do that over the coming months and years. Well, Simon, thanks. It was great to catch up. Some interesting points raised, some that we've heard a lot of folk talking about, but valuable insight for everyone listening.
Thank you.
So I will let you get back to your busy day, continuing doing the great work that you're doing. And look out for caterer.com catch-ups and our social feeds coming soon.
Yeah, well, thanks. Cheers, Gerry.
Thanks, Simon.
Everyone.
Bye.